Onegaishimasu.
Just start a little bit sideways movement. Okay? Come into a rotation. It's going to really calm in the feet. Just let the weight sink down. Nice and loose with the arms. You can also play in this case with the weight just shifting a little bit to the front and a little bit to the back. Not too much, just be careful with the spine. But just look a little bit, like bending the body towards the ground. Slightly taking the body back. So play with the head, curling down, curling up. Just slightly open this movement out a little bit, shifting the weight a little bit off center towards one of the feet. Okay, and we're just working nice big wave through the spine. We just start with the head, so taking the chin to the chest. Imagine not just taking the chin to the chest, but also stretching right across the back of the neck. Drawing it right across. And stretching up and back. And now imagine you're really stretching the front of the neck. To the left side and the right. And then over to one side. And really trying to create length in the opposite side. And the other side. Just working very lightly with a circle to the front. Just imagine from the crown of the head, you're just going to draw circles at the top of the head. It's very light, don't strain the neck at all. Also feel the whole body is also involved in the movement. So just do both directions. Just taking the hands onto the back of the head. Just close the body down. If you can bring the elbows together to touch. Bend the body forward side. Opening out, stretching up, and slightly arcing the back. Pulling the elbows up to the ceiling. again, close down. Close the body down. Open everything up. Stretching it up and back. Okay, just work the shoulders. Nice big rotations. And forwards. And here, just opening the arms up. Nice big stretch to the back. Just brushing the arms against the ears. They go past. And then across the front. And just letting the arms brush across the face. Full range of motion as you can. Okay, just come into the back. Stretching out, arms extended. With the weight of the body spiraling into the center between the 2 feet. A nice strong extension out of the hands. A couple more. Okay, stretching up to the sides. Stretch right up, great length across the body. All the way over to the side. And to the other side. And try and maintain the length in both sides of the body. So try not to collapse down one side. Stretching open both sides. That's it. And one more time. And the other side. Okay, just looking at the hips. Nice big rotations. And the other direction. Okay, just turn the feet a little bit wider. Keep the weight resting towards the heels, bending the knees down. And just come to a position that's comfortable. Okay, if you can reach the hands into the ground. And then using the forearms or the elbows, just press against the legs and press out away from the center. Okay, and then from this position, press in with the legs, so the legs press towards the center against the arms now. Pull them towards the center. Okay, release them, legs a little bit wider. Start to work side to side. Let the weight of the body just straighten the leg. Just feel the hips sinking down to each heel. Just create bigger and bigger movements. And it's as low as you can to the ground. And just hold it one side. And come to the other side. Okay, to the other side. Keep the hands now, you're just going to touch the feet with them. So just stretching the hands towards the feet, or if you like, use the ankle. Depending on what's comfortable. You can just bring both hands towards the leg. And have the feeling of pulling the hips away from the hands. So you're opening this hip up. And then come to the other side. Hold the position and just stretch the arms down the leg. Good. Okay, using the hands, put into the ground. Stretch the foot up. And then walking over with the hands, come to the other side. And again, to the other side. And you can also increase the stretch in the hip just by bringing the weight of the body down towards the ground. Think about bringing the chest towards the floor. You just feel the weight shift into the hip. Just increase it a little bit. And then you walk up to the other side. And you just do the same thing. Okay, straighten above the legs. Turn a little bit wider with the feet. Just bring the hands onto the same line. Imagine you're extending through the back of the knee. Okay, if you can bring both hands to the feet, just let the lower back relax. The head's just going to be pulled towards the ground by the weight of itself. And if you can, just place the elbows into the ground, and again, just sink the head further into the ground. Just going to rest into the palms. And then from here, if you can, take the hands behind the back, clasp them, and really stretch open the lower back. You can also rest the head into the ground if you like, if it's possible. And nice and slowly release this, and then just walk the hands forward. Just until you're in the fingertips. And then what you want to do is pull the hips away from the hands. Stretch right through the arms, the shoulders, and really try and create a length through the whole spine. Yeah. Okay, bring one hand just in line with the shoulders. It's like you're now like a tripod. A little bit of a wide tripod. The hands now on the shoulder. Here. What you're going to do is trace the hand all the way up the arm, so from the wrist into the forearm, elbow, up the shoulder. And then what you want to do from here is really open the chest out, twist through the body, and then raise the hand up to the sky. And just with the head, just watch the hand. Really trying to create rotation in the whole torso. And then just trace the hand back, and just do 3 on each side. Stretch up, trace up the shoulders, open the torso, and to the sky. And one more time this side. Reach right up and get down. And then just change the hand. Got nice strong support with the hand. Trace up the arm, open the torso, and then look up to the sky. One more. And back down. Stand as they are, just stretch the hips back a little bit more. And just walk the feet back towards the center here. This position, okay, if you can, straighten the legs, hands down into the ground. If you can, reach the palms into the ground. If you can't reach the palms into the ground with the legs straight, bend the legs, bend the knees, and just press the palms into the ground. So as much as you can, or as much as you need to, bend the knees to get the palms into the ground. Head's nice and relaxed towards the ground. And then what I want you to do is start to straighten the legs. Feel the weight leave the hands. And start to pull the body up. And feel as if the hips are drawing the body up. Just let the hands trace up the legs as you draw up through the hips. Draw up all the way up to the knees and to the thighs. Reaching the body up here and back here. Good. Okay. Just come into this position here, so one leg in front of the other. Try and really stretch through the back here. This is also stretch for the lower leg. And again, you can just sink the weight forward a little bit and increase the stretch into the back of the heel. Good. And then change the side. Good. Change the side again. Just bring the knee down just so it's off the ground. Just off the ground. And just sit into it. You need to use the hands on the front knee just as a support. Nice and slow, just changing sides. Just bringing the knee down. And then again, just change sides. You're going to do the same thing, and now what I want you to do is use the opposite hand or the back hand. Really spiral over to the side. And if you can also, you can arc back through the body. So really create a big spiral line. And release it. Changing sides. Nice deep movement. Big spiral movement. Right over the back. And it's as if you're kind of going to watch the back heel. So you can also twist right through the back. Big spiral arcing movement through the body. That's it. And just release it. Good. Okay, so just work the knees. Nice. Big circles. Both ways. Okay, just working the feet, just the edges of the blades of the feet, side to side. Just raising up onto the toes. And what you're going to do now is sink the body down, stay on the toes. So you're going to come into a kind of really low squat. Let's just stay on the toes. And raising it up. Stretch right up. And then bend down. Keep the weight centering towards the heels, but without them touching the ground. Legs nice and closed. And then up again. Stretch right up. You also stretch it with the arms if you like. And then coming down, bending the body down, and right into the knees here. Good. Okay. Now just place those weight into one leg, roll big circles with the ankles. And do this both ways. Foot in the ground, just circling the foot. pointing the toes, right through the toes. And then lift the toes up, pull the toes up, press the ball of the foot. And then extending the knee, press right through the heel. Place it into the ground, slightly bend the opposite knee. And come down, touch the toes, as if you're kind of pulling the toes up. Stretch right through the foot. Good, and come to the other side, so just place the weight on the other leg. Nice big movements. And the other way. Good. Yeah, off the ground, just looking in circles. Both ways. Pointing the toes. Ball of the foot. And then straightening the leg with the heel. Into the ground. And then pulling the toes up. Just some exercises just for the shoulders. Stretch the hands out so you're kind of pushing the wall. Rotate forward as fully as you can. And rotate out to the back. It's kind of good rotator cuff exercise. You roll forwards. And open out to the back. One more to the front. And out to the back. Good. Now from here, just fingers down. You're going to press the palms towards as if you're pressing them towards a wall. And then you're going to curl the fingers, curl the wrists, and point the fingers towards the forearm. So kind of creating a arc through the forearm. And then release it. Push through the palms. Connect the fingers, bend the wrist, and point the fingers towards the forearms. And just repeat it just a few times. Direction. So there's contraction and then extension. Arms, fingers, curled. One more time. Ready for the forearms activated. Good. And do the same thing now. You push out with the fingers up. And you're going to curl fingers, again wrist, and now it's underneath. So now you're working the underside of the forearm. And release it, stretch out, curl the fingers, stretch, release. Good. Now just working a little bit more loose with the arm. Just involve the whole arm in the movement, so from the fingertips to the shoulder, everything's going to kind of mobilize. Also, the rest of the body is also included in the movement, so you're kind of rising and sinking the body. So imagine you kind of winding the arms up. That. And then from this direction, just change it. So then you come this way, out, this way, out. Good. Okay, just for the wrist specifically, clasp the hands, nice and loose. And then on the other side, the other way. Just open the contact with the palm and just allow the wrist a little bit more mobility. And this is really to just work the finger. Yes. Also work the thumbs as well at the same time. Okay, good. So just stretching the fingers out. Nice big extension. So you go full extension, release, extend, release, extend, release. then creating fists. And really focusing on the bottom two fingers. Okay, shake the hands and feet. Okay, shake the leg forward and shake the wrist forward. Side. Okay, just work the arms in circles. And just let the whole body shake. And just make the movement smaller and smaller until you come to a step. Okay. Good. Okie dokie, that's it. Take a Bokken. Okay. Okay, so just start. Nice kind of fluid exercise. So just starting to get feet together. What I want you to do is just come into the kamai. Yeah, and then just come out. So we're just going to start by just finding the kamai. In this case, it's like the heels touch. Toes just a little bit pointing outside just to kind of accommodate the knees. Shoulders nice and relaxed at the right hip. And then just allow the whole body to come forward. Yeah, and just find the kamai here. You feel nice and relaxed. So you want the kamai to be very stable, but very relaxed. The limbs should feel very loose. You're not coming into a kind of fixed position. So just a little bit without coming into kamai. And back. Oh, don't do that. Oh, shit.
Michael?
Sorry about that. I pressed the wrong button. I activated flight mode. Bad idea. No. Okay, good. Okay, good.
Michael, I have one question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Rob.
Yes. When I go into Kamai, I have the tendency to be in the first step to be in front. Then I have to go a little bit, go back. But I think the idea is to be directly in the right position, so that I do not have to correct my.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. What you said is kind of what I don't do. What I don't do is kind of rock forward and then have to find the balance.
Yes.
So in this case, it's kind of simple. The left foot is not really going to move, so just feel that the weight's going to kind of transfer into the left foot, and then I sink the weight into this. I adjust it once I kind of find the right foot into this kind of position. So think what we tend to do is we tend to shift the weight into the front foot and then try and find the back. But feel that the weight's going to sink down the left leg first. So feel this kind of connection out. This connection. Yeah, with my weight basically stays in the back leg. I find the right leg and then I adjust it. So I have more a sense of staying with the ground as I come into it this way. Yeah, that makes sense. Just the way.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Okay, so this is a bit more dynamic now. Starts in the Kamai position. Okay, come into the Kamai. Here, find the connection with the hip, and then I just want you to start moving with the body. In this case, just imagine the right side, the right foot stays forward all the time. So just to make the connection a little bit easier in terms of the handwork, how they relate to the sword in the center. Just feel that the right hip stays forward, so the right side of the body is going to stay. I want to basically an active Kamai work, which is very relaxed. I want to feel the sword really connecting into the center. Keep the footwork nice and calm, body really centered. The footwork's a bit kind of cat-like. It's got a kind of cat in pouncing, stalking mode. Good. And just try and imagine the sword's basically being held by the spine and the back. So really, I want to find a position in the Kamai where it feels like the whole back is supporting the sword here. The moment I just work the front, I'm in these kind of positions, and I go to move, I'm basically moving the front of the body first. So really get the feeling that the back connects the sword. So I want the feeling of like this. So the back's really engaged with the sword, and then I move the body from the back. Imagine again, it's the same idea all the time, trying to motivate the movement from the back of the body. So just start to kind of open the movements up a little bit now. So working left side and the right side. Just feel the back's constantly engaged in the movement. So just constantly, I'm looking for extension, but I really want to base that in a sense of being down in the ground and really sense of accessing the back of the body. Okay, good. So this is playing really with like a Chudan Kamai, so kind of mid-level guard. It's kind of staying here like this. Just play now with the sword kind of coming lower or higher. But just play with a little bit now. Don't really think in terms of sword work, not too much in terms of sword work. So just think about moving the object in front and see how it affects the balance, and basically see how I need to fit the body into what's happening with the sword. And you can think about it two ways. What I want to do with the sword, I need to adapt the body to it, or I adapt the sword follows my body. So I use the body, I change the body, and the sword just follows. So both will kind of produce the same result. Just play a little bit with, and if you like, you can also really change the handwork. Just play with the sword kind of coming out. Play with actually being off balance. So where the weight of the sword is actually drawing me off balance. You can also play with one hand. Forget that it's a sword for now. Just think of it as a kind of object. So play with. Okay, good. And now coming back to it as a Bokken, as a sword, just now play with coming to different kamais. So you're going to now come into, I'll just show you a few, and there's a lot of kamais you can use. So just play with now, come into different kinds of kamais, high kamais, low kamais with the sword, also out to the back and the side, this way, into a hasso position. And just look at the transference between the kamais now. So the weight shifting between the kamai, staying centered. Try and make them really easy. So I want the transitions to feel very easy. So no real extra movements. Again, it's got a kind of cat-like quality. Imagine like a cat stalking through a field. Trying to move in a sense that's very, very efficient. And super balanced. So you can just move into the next position. Okay, good. So especially the movements that will kind of challenge the balance are where the hands are coming up. So either these kind of positions or something like this. Also this one where the sword's in the front, so it's high and it's in the front. So just watch these kind of positions. Think all the time that as I raise up the arm, I'm going to sink the body down. And what I don't want to do, what don't want to happen is either the body's kind of inactive and I just move the arm, or the body gets dragged with the arm as I go up. So really think about the weight draining down. Imagine the blood flows through the arm down this way. So especially these movements where we're coming into high positions, I really want to feel the weight draining down the back of the body. This is also the key. So imagine kind of water's draining down the back of the body. Like a kind of shower down the body. So the whole feeling is draining towards the ground. So whatever the position is, that's the same. And also these lower positions, I don't want the body to be dragged forward. Think about really draining down. Drain, drain, drain. Drain, drain, drain. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Kind of good, 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 good. Yeah. Good. Okay, now just try this in a kind of dynamic and active way. So just playing with different kamais, and as soon as you find a kamai, just change and come into another. Don't worry too much about the movement. Don't worry about the form of the movement, so what's happening with the sword or the function of the movement. Just think in terms of the quality of the movement and the balance of the body. So don't worry what you're doing. Just worry about how you're doing it in this case. Don't think yet about striking, so just think about moving the sword around. Keeping the body nice and free. Kind of dynamically shifting between kamais. Really, all the time trying to connect the center into the arms. Imagine the feet are like hands, you're kind of constantly touching the ground with the feet. The feet should feel very relaxed. Also play a lot with rotations. So these rotations will really challenge, again, the ability to ground the body. Again, I want the whole weight to sink down. And also play with rotations and bringing the sword up into the body. So these are also very, very tricky to balance the body. Just play very dynamically. Okay, so play with the same idea, slow it down a little bit, and now what I want to do is just start to come into striking. So just think about Shomen and Yokomen movements, however they kind of fit into the movement you're coming into, or the kama you're coming into. Just think about shifting in, and then shifting into a strike. Keep it nice and relaxed, come to a new position, find a strike. Come to a new position, find a strike. And just work with really basic Shomen, Uchi, Yokomen Uchi. Really try and maintain a sense of grounding the body through the cut and then out. Release it on the cut. Release it on the cut. Keep it very easy, nice and calm. All right, good. Okay, so just another element, so working with Shomenuchis, Yokonuchis, and now also work with steep thrusting movement. So either side, and again, just play with different positions, cutting motions, and now add a kind of thrusting motion to it. So play with it a little bit. There's kind of there's a few basics you can do is front foot thrusting with the sword, from the back foot, like we do in the Subaru. You've also got these kind of positions where I'm just going to shift through the hands. There is also kind of thrusting movements where I'm it's slightly different positions with the body. So just you've also another thrust that we do as a kind of basic, or is in the movements we do is to rotate the sword up where we're coming to this position, where the blade's going to face up this way, coming into this kind of position here. So just play a little bit with different kinds of skis. The key to them all is this kind of horizontal thrusting movement of the body. Different kamas, different thrusting movements. Yeah, so there's a tendency with the thrusting moves, it's almost automatic, is to kind of push out with the arms. In a sense, kind of push out and extend through. So it's like I'm trying to do the movement with the arm this way. Again, think about the body doing the movement. So the body's going to press in, and then the hands kind of naturally extend from it. So it's the best image with the ski is like you've got a kind of small yoga ball, and it's like you press the center into the ball, and that kind of pressure builds and it presses out the arms this way. So rather than me pushing out the arms this way, I'm basically pressing the center in through the arms. It basically releases them out this way. So, and that's true of all of these movements. We talked about last night, try and get the feeling that the movement is the power really comes from the movement itself, rather than me trying to add into it. It's about engaging the hip, engaging the center in the movement. Nice. Okay. And then we'll add another element. So there's one move we don't do in the Sudori work is slicing movement. So just play now with the feeling of slicing across with the sword. So these are generally kind of horizontal movements, and the feeling's really to slice across with the body this way. So just play, in this case, the key to all of them is that the body leads it. So the kind of translation we've got from the body work is all these kind of ikyo, these kind of rotation, these kind of movements here. So when you've got kind of ikyo moves, it's kind of where I'm really slicing the body across. And this is the same. So just think about the body leading the sword, slicing through this one. So just add this as a kind of another element. And you can really open this movement out. So you can do big footwork, slicing in. Keep the skis, your commands. And really also come into different positions with the sword, so you can access different positions. So including these kind of movements, you can think of them as slicing movements, but you can also think of them as again, most of the work we do is impacting. So because we don't use a sword, we don't use a katana, the feeling in these movements can be to slice. So it can be a feeling of kind of cutting with the body. But you can also include in these kind of feelings impacting with the body. So the feeling, I'm going through a horizontal movement, but I'm going to have more of a feeling of impacting through the body this way. And this includes these kind of movements you've got in the Kumitachi, so this kind of way. And also these movements when you're blending up into the wrist this way. So think of all the movements now are going to be kind of impacting movements. So the cuts are impact, the skis are impact, and the slices are kind of impacting with the body. So think about kind of striking with the body. So although we're using a sword, we're using it in a kind of slightly more specific way. Okay, good. The last element in this case, we tend to work in this case, or I've shown is kind of on a level. So kind of on a kind of level here. Now think about different levels of the body that you can attack. So you've got high targets, mid-level targets, and low-level targets. So especially these low-level targets are very interesting for the body to kind of really fit into. So you can really play now with these kind of movements. Yeah, and you've also got now high movements that come in where you would strike the wrist, where you can have the feeling of striking the head. Into the back of the knee, just play with slightly different targets, which means I'm going to start to really modify the body work to fit my intention. All the time I want the body to be behind the impact. Yeah, and also this feeling of draining the body is really important now when you come into these low positions. You need to feel that the body's going to kind of drain down into the ground, so that by the time I make the impact, the body's really behind the sword and solid. What the tendency to happen is for the strike to come first, but really feel that the body again is going to really drain into the ground and really solidify by the time the impact comes in. Also, when I come up, think about the body's going to be really solid. In the ground, in the ground, in the ground. So the impact's really got central force behind it. So. That's it. Okay, good. So the last few minutes, just play now with a set of moves or a series of movements. Basically, the kind of order is you find a kamae, so find a position, really find a kind of comfortable position, and then do about 3 movements from here. So you can cut, rest, find another movement this way, and then from this position, just find another kamae, or go back to the same kamae and do another set of movements. So just come to a kamae. Find the movement, and find another movement. Do about 2 or 3 moves with a nice short sets. You just explore different combinations of striking, resting, and relaxing. Good. And then last minute, do this very fluidly. So now what you're going to not come into a kamae. So the kamae is now going to be very fluid, but very, very fluid. Come back basically to this first exercise as we were doing. And basically just going to work on mobility on the move. And then when you feel like it, when the kind of urge comes, just come into a text. It's like do a very short set, really stabilize finish, and then just come back into mobility. And again, just work with 2, 3 movements. Nothing. I think this is just about really being mobile. Look for the sword. Just find some strikes. Play with different positions with the sword. Also no position. So the sword can just be by the side. You just play with loving it to movements. Great. Okay. Very nice. Domo. Arigato gozaimasu.
Domo. Arigato gozaimashita.
Very good. Very nice.
Thank you very much.